So I was pretty much finishing up the previous video. It just cut off. I guess, it lost some space. The camera and all that stuff might need to delete some apps off this device. But anyway, I was talking about this person. She sat near me. I guess she wanted to get in my business or something. And the people, I guess she was supposedly befriending and all that, they said, that person would like to be by herself. And I think that might have been the first or second day I was there. And then I'm thinking, already I'm getting jumped. But then after she was talking the trash she was talking, saying something like, if that person thinks they're intimidating, I'll show them who's boss. First of all, I don't think that I'm intimidating, okay? I don't sit around thinking like that. That's why I have crafts. People that have crafts and stuff like that don't waste their energy on being intimidating. That's for people that don't have certain skill sets. Okay, that's who that belongs to. That should belong to people that aren't, cerebral. That should belong to people that aren't, writers. I'm a writer, I'm an author, I do poetry. That's what I was doing at that table. She wanted to get in my business. I looked at her and then I just looked back and minded my own business. And I guess she thought that somebody wanted to show off that they're tough that way. Sweetheart, you're not very intelligent if you think that. Nothing about what I was doing insinuated toughness in any way, shape, or form. You're not a very smart person. So, sorry. Sorry, but it's a sign that, when people do that, they're probably idiots. No offense. She showed her ignorance that day, and I'm thinking, dude, I sat at this table first. Every time you bumped into me, you never said sorry. So she has like the worst manners, she's the worst manners. Nothing about that person's personality is likable, and I can understand why people like her might be a curmudgeon or something. She's miserable. You don't have. You could tell when she goes home, all she has in her house is nothing but noise. That's the kind of person she is. She probably just has a noisy environment. So, gatherings. I sat at that table by myself. Anytime I'm there, sometimes I try to pick the table where I'm alone, and then you have the least amount of people kind of encounters or whatever. So, that's that. So that's what I was talking about in that video, where, you have to self-teach. You got to do a lot of stuff. Self-teach yourself, be on your own. And people think, and maybe the person did feel intimidated because I didn't want to talk to her. And basically, I think what she was trying to do was drown out a thought that entered her head. Sweetheart, that all falls back onto you. I'm not a part of that. Okay? If you feel weak out of that, that's your problem. I'm not going to waste my energy, sit back, laugh, smile, gawk at the situation. That is a waste of energy. People like that will be forever forgettable. There's really nothing worth remembering there. But I use that as an example since it was recent. People that may have a problem with people, doing their own thing. So I could have said all this to her, but I just decided to ignore her because there's nothing special about that person. There's nothing special. You can wear as much leather as you want. You're still not special. So, excuse me. Sorry. So that's how I feel. That's how I felt about that. So I was talking about narcissistic individuals. There's no doubt she was one of them. You meet a lot of those out there. People that just don't feel good about themselves when they're around a particular person, especially if that particular person is alone. They're keeping to themselves. They want to get close to you. And person, the sweetheart, this was like what, my first week starting that job? That was like, I think, first or second day starting that job. That was the first job I got before I got this other job that I'm now working between the end of last month and this month. So I'm working 2 jobs now. They're both new. So, but at the previous one that I recently started, I guess that's what she thought. And people like her that have her thought process, they're repeatable. You can actually put into a copying machine and get more personalities like her. So I don't need to be intimidating, sweetheart. I'm very good as a verbalist. I could probably tell you, sweetheart, I could probably waste my time telling you that I could literally put people like you in a copy machine and get more people like you out. There's nothing unique about you. Nothing about you as a personality is unique because you talk like that. That's nothing unique about that. Saying, oh, I'll show somebody who's boss. People like that think that they're unique. There's a lot of people like that. And that's why we have militaries. Because if you have a bunch of people that could fight, you probably could afford to lose some of those people in case you had to. Not that you should want to lose them, but you're gonna, because it's a lot of the same thing. That's why we have wars. The universe was set up for that. If you have a bunch of repeatables, some of them are bound to get lost over time. That's a repeatable. She is a repeatable. The thing is, the only thing that's saving her is the fact that she has a vagina. Okay, they're not trying to put women on the battlefield, but she kind of deserves to be on the battlefield. They're not trying to do that. That's the way the world was set up. Was when you have repeatables, if they don't have a purpose in life, they get in trouble, they become criminal, and then they die off. Okay, the world doesn't need that many repeatables, and she's one of them. The only thing that's saving her is her gender. And this is why the world is corrupt as it is. All these repeatables. Okay, and the weird thing is, sometimes the thing that's the most salvageable has more repeatables in it. That's the irony. It has a lot of repeatables. It allows for the lack of cerebrality in that particular group. They don't have to do any mental work. But here's the funny part. Depending on what the group looks like, they may or may not decide to go about eugenics. So then they start arguing the superiority. I think a lot of that, there's a good time that this is a good way of saying we might be living in a simulation. And then they're going about this in a racial sense. Oh, well, you may have multiple groups that have repeatables. Which repeatables are better than the other repeatables? You get rid of these repeatables. You don't want everything that's repeatable and are rebuildable. You could get the same kind of consciousness over and well, they're not the same consciousness. They just want to borrow from each other. A lot of borrowing kind of energy. You could get rid of that because it doesn't bring anything valuable to the table if all it is violent and destructive. It's repeatable energy, so they want to try to find a way to move it, push it somewhere else. It's unteachable, it's unreachable, it's a repeatable. Okay, and they keep regenerating stuff like that over and over again. They keep making stuff like that. It continues to be generated. You can afford to lose some people like that. They don't have to die, just make them migrate to somewhere else. But that's one of the reasons why we have wars. They got to go and start shit overseas, whatever it is they have to do, probably lie about some things, and then they send whoever feels the need to feel strong and whatnot overseas so they can try to prove their worth. And then if they die, that's it. They do what they can to give you a memorial service or something like that so that you don't go forgotten for what you did. I'm not saying that to be mean, but this is what happens to some repeatables. You got a lot of people that have a purpose and that have passions and crafts that go in the military when it should be people that are criminals that go fight. It should be. It should be people that are criminals that they send over there, not people that actually have a purpose. That doesn't mean that if you have a purpose that you got no business in the military. No. Okay, you have something for the world, not necessarily people that just want to, fight all the time. That serves the world no purpose. It's repeatable. You don't need repeatables. I don't judge in terms of race. That's pointless. I judge in terms of intellect and what is, brand new. Okay, brand new. That's how I judge things. And sometimes what's old is useful. There are some things that don't need to change. And then there are times when we need to innovate. Just like at one of the jobs that I'm at. I'm thinking, dude, I could tell this company where they need to innovate. Why would you call yourself such and such innovations company or whatever it is, and you're not innovating? You're not changed. So there are some things that need to change. Okay? But you're more likely to hire people that are full of drama. They're repeatables. You don't need repeatables. I'm not interested. I don't find repeatables. I never did find repeatables interesting. I just never did. That's all they were worth was drama. They're miserable. Don't have anything to offer to the world, teaching wise and all that. So can I trust them? No. Are they on your side? No. Obviously they want to fight. And are they the best listeners? Obviously no. If you wanted to gather a group and work on a particular project that might save the world, you probably want to be going to a person like that. You go to those that are actually intelligent and aren't interested in fighting. Because people that are interested in fighting, what better of anything on this earth do they have to offer to the table? Nothing. I believe that every human being on the earth is capable of bringing something really good to the table, but a lot of times they don't want to show that. They would rather be a repeatable. That's what they would rather be, a bunch of repeatables. Too many repeatables are walking this earth. So somebody's going to ask me, what exactly is a repeatable? Somebody that follows the crowd. That's what that is, a repeatable. Somebody that follows the crowd. Somebody that thinks like everybody else. Oh, you're supposed to buy this thing. You're supposed to purchase this thing because everybody else has it. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that because everybody else is. Some people are doing certain things to survive. They're not doing that because somebody else has it. So no, they're not one of you, because at some point where they're at is going to change. It's a phase for them. And if they aggrandize to the next, or should I say transcend to the next phase, you get mad at them for moving on. You're a repeatable if you think you're supposed to be somewhere in one particular spot for the rest of your life. You're repeatable. There are some things, if you enjoy it all the way to your core, maybe it's worth sticking around. But if you know it's temporary, why would you listen to what somebody else is saying? I don't deal with repeatables. I don't deal with them. If all they're doing is copying off the drama of somebody else because they want to have that person's life, that's a repeatable. You don't need them. You don't need them. You don't need them. I don't care about repeatables. I never did. Because that's what they do. And they don't like you sometimes for not talking. And that's because they may want to borrow your energy. They may want to borrow your energy. So there will be a part 3 to this video. I'm going to take a break from this. We already did about 20 some minutes worth of what is this and what is that. I may do poetry tomorrow. I'm going to take a break from that. Take a break from videos again. Catch up on some extra rest from working almost 24 hours straight. But yeah, one of the topics I want to talk about is staying away from repeatables. So what is a repeatable? Once again, somebody that doesn't know what their purpose is in life. There's a lot of people that are like that. They don't know what their actual purpose is in life. They may want to live off the government. They may like living off the government. That's actually a repeatable thing. Those are people that think the same. They think that they're victims. People with victimhood mentality. That's an example of a repeatable. You can repeat that over and over again. Just weaken their mind. Okay? Say they were never left alone by themselves like I was. So those are you could take that and use any example of somebody you don't like that's a drain on society or is a drain on anybody's